Good morning, everybody. I want to do another video in my series on the life of Paul, and this is video number 34, and we're in a new chapter in the book. It's chapter 5, and it's the conversion of Saul and his early ministry. This is in roundabout AD 36, we think, and this is what we call Saul's conversion. So we're in Acts chapter 9. Let me read it for you. And Saul, yet breathing out threatenings and slaughter against the disciples of the Lord, went unto the high priest, and desired of him letters to Damascus, to the synagogues, that if he found any of this way, whether they were men or women, he might bring them bound unto Jerusalem. And as he journeyed, he came near Damascus, and suddenly there shined round about him a light from heaven. And he fell to the earth and heard a voice saying to him, Saul, Saul, why persecutest thou me? And he said, Who art thou, Lord? And the Lord said, I am Jesus, whom thou persecutest. It is hard for thee to kick against the pricks. And he, trembling and astonished, said, Lord, what wilt thou have me to do? And the Lord said unto him, Arise and go into the city, and it shall be told thee what thou must do. And the men which journeyed with him stood speechless, hearing a voice, but seeing no man. And Paul arose from the earth, and when his eyes were opened, he saw no man. But they led him by the hand and brought him into Damascus, and he was 3 days without sight, neither did eat or drink. So Saul, the great enemy of the church, now asks for a letter of introduction from the religious leaders at Jerusalem, so that he can go to Damascus and continue his persecution of Christians there. Now, an important point here, every synagogue in Israel was autonomous, and so Paul would have had no authority to persecute the Christians in Damascus. And so these letters were an introduction to Paul, to the people of Damascus, to the synagogue of Damascus, to obtain their permission and cooperation. Okay, that's what it was all about. And they grant their recommendation, and we're probably very glad to have a champion on their side. His mission is to arrest men and women and bring them back to Jerusalem for trial, or maybe even to take them to judicial review in Damascus. And as he journeys and draws very near to Damascus, he is suddenly surrounded by a light from heaven, brighter than the sun, and he falls into the dust. And then he hears a voice in the Hebrew language saying, Saul, Saul, why are you persecuting me? He replies, Who are you, Lord? And the answer came, I am Jesus, who you are persecuting. It is hard for you to kick against the pricks. Now, the pricks were very large spikes attached to an ox goad, which was used by an ox master to move such a heavy beast back into the right path. And God obviously had been pricking him and trying to get him back on the right path. So it seems the Lord had been disciplining Saul for a while, and he'd been kicking against it, just like an ox would kick against the goad. Of course, it's difficult for an ox to kick against a prick, because when he kicks against it, he gets the prick into his leg. And that's what's been happening with Paul. But now, finally, Christ steps in judgment to stop his mad career. Saul, by this time, trembling and astonished, he says, Lord, what do you want me to do? And the answer is, get up and go into the city, and it'll be told you what you must do. Those with Saul heard a voice, but they saw nobody. And when Saul arose from the earth, he found that he was blind. So they led him by the hand into the city, and for 3 days Paul fasted and prayed. Paul had, or Saul, as we know him at this stage in his life, had found he'd met his match. Saul had finally come face to face with the Lord Jesus in person. And Christ had punished him. He disciplined him by striking him blind in order to stop him. Okay? And Saul then goes into the city, and for 3 days he doesn't eat and he prays. For 3 days he prays. God shut his eyes so that he couldn't continue in his stupid career. Wow, what a transformation. So Paul was not converted on the road to Damascus. He was judged on the road to Damascus. Now we'll have to wait till the next episode to find out what the Lord Jesus does next. Saul had discovered that he was finally not in charge of his life. Somebody else was now taking over. Somebody else was going to be the person in charge of his life. It wasn't going to be Caiaphas. It wasn't going to be the high priest of Jerusalem. It was going to be the person that he was persecuting. What a change. What a transformation. And we'll pick up the story on our next episode. So have a great day, everybody, and bye for now.